Hello, hello. Welcome to Leap Taken. Here at Leap Taken, I talk about all things witchy, craft related, law of attraction, manifesting, esoteric, and everything else in between. And today we're going to talk about the moon. More, in particular, the phases of the moon and the magic you can do during those phases. Mm, nice and hot and good. Peppermint tea. I'm filming this in the morning, and there's nothing like a cup of peppermint tea first thing in the morning. I was just recently talking about this. For me, I think it's kind of like my baseline. If there's any tea I'm going to drink, it's always going to be peppermint, one of my absolute favorites. But anyway, so we're going to take it, starting with the waxing, then I'm going to jump right in. So this is just a little help with, I want to do videos where I can help with the technicalities of witchcraft. I think I see a lot of different videos, and I don't mind showing spells and crafts, and I will continue to do that. However, I think sometimes people, might need the help of reminders of how to put it all together. Those little details that go into spell work. Yes, it could be as simple as making a wish and lighting a candle and believing it comes true. That's like baseline one-on-one stuff. That's where you can just start. To me, that's when you're opening your heart up to the idea that the universe can provide to you, to the idea that you deserve the things that you desire. To me, that's like a first step in that process. But once you're past that step and you want to broaden your spell casting and you want your desires are a little bit more complex, you're going to need some technicalities. Witchcraft doesn't have a Bible. It doesn't have the one source book where you can go and say, this is the correct way to do everything. But I like that. And a lot of people who practice witchcraft enjoy that. We don't like dogma. We don't want one person or several people who got together and made a book um, to dictate over how we practice, because we all have different paths in witchcraft. So it's really hard to have a one fits all approach. And like I said, I know I definitely like that. I don't want a one fit all approach. I like to customize. However, even when customizing, there has to be some unified held truths, and this is what we're getting into. This is what a lot of the stuff I'm talking about. I'll tell you how things work for me, but I'm giving you sort of a broad baseline approach to this. So let's now get into it. The waxing moon. Okay, so the waxing moon, that's when the moon is moving from dark to a full moon. So it's waxing. That's the waxing phase, right? And that is a great time for increase work. So increase, magics for increase, and that can be anything. Obviously, the first thing that comes to mind, most of us, is probably going to be money. So increase your money. However, you have to think, yeah, well, I mean, you can think however you want, but also, yes, you can do that. You can also think of it in all different types of ways. Increase opportunities if you're looking for work to get you more steady money. Let's do some spells around this time during that waxing phase. Um, if you want to increase your friendship circles, relationships, even romantic wise, you want to increase that. You want to whatever you're trying to build upon, you'd like to bring in and attract relationships. Well, that's a level of increase. You're bringing more into yourself, relationships wise, a different dynamic, if you will, right? um, to me, I could even do spell work for beauty spells or glamour spells during this time to increase attractiveness. People who are more attracted to me. It doesn't have to necessarily be romantic, because that can build confidence for some of us, especially if you're going out into the world, you're looking for work, especially if your work requires more of the face, if you're in the entertainment industry, or, wherever you're working, where, there's a certain people, a certain level of attractiveness they want, or something like that. I don't know, maybe you want a job at Hooters. You want to increase your bra size, or at least give the illusion that it's more increased so that they'll hire you because you've always wanted to work at Hooters. Listen, you spell work can be so dynamic, so different. People have this idea that, oh, well, that sounds silly. I wouldn't do. Yeah, there's a lot of us who do spells who you might think sound super silly, but to the rest of us, that's what we want. That's what our desire is. So that's what our intention is for this situation to come true. So yeah, increase. So I'm just giving some fun ideas as it relates to spell work. But there you go. Let's say you wanted to add to your family fertility, increase. Do your fertility work during the waxing moon. That's a great time to do that. Now let's go into the full moon. So, okay, the full moon, um, that's when the moon is fully illuminated, right? Oop, my watch has gone off. That's when the moon is fully illuminated. I'm just looking at my notes again. I like to stay on track. Y'all know I do tangents. Um, Now, I am a believer, and I know a good amount of people are, that 3 days before and 3 days after, you can feel the effects of this full moon, right? You want to do magics that have to do with finishing or completing tasks, success, um, spells or magic, anything, again, gains, things, accomplishments. So you're taking some classes, or you want to maybe go enroll in school to take some classes. I know I'm going to be taking some classes soon. You know what? A full moon's a perfect time for me to just put my intention for success, for me to learn, to be receptive, for the knowledge to stick. I could do it. And when I say things like that, for the knowledge to stick. You can do something with glue in a spell that symbolizes the knowledge sticking, that sort of stuff, like little pieces of paper with knowledge, just write the word knowledge on it. And, you throw it at, like, I don't know, paper with glue on it and it sticks or something. And then you put another piece of paper over top and you're like chanting the whole time. This is how my mind thinks, just off the cuff. But yeah, that type of work, that type of magic is what you would be doing during the full moon. Also, any 3 days before and either 3 days after as well. Um, Accomplishments. When I say accomplishments, I'm thinking, um, you know, promotions at work. I'm thinking work. So you're already in a situation you want to go to a certain level. That's a sense of accomplishment for you. This is also good from a relationship aspect, where maybe, okay, you want to do some the equivalent of corporate team building exercises in your relationship. You want to basically come together and work on things. It could be just getting to a point where you're doing date nights. Do some spell work to make sure, hey, I want to keep this fresh. That's an accomplishment. You want to grow your relationship, that gain. Um, and these are just, different ways. I'm just trying to give you ideas of spell work to do that are maybe not so conventional. When you see this in a book or you read, somebody else is doing a video about it, what to do during these different moon phases. I'm a little off the wall, so my mind thinks like that. Another thing is, for instance, you have a kid who, you're working with, and, let's say a toddler, and you really, potty training, you're trying to help with them take first steps, and you do a spell, so that they can complete that milestone. Not that you're rushing them, but you can complete it, where you're there. Maybe that's the spell. Because if you're a full-time working mom or dad and you want to see those first steps, there you go. Or, that's around the time you're going to introduce solid foods to the baby, and happens to be a full moon. You can do a sweet little spell to make sure that is a success, that they enjoy it, and that the baby's healthy, and that sort of stuff. So the next phase would be the waning moon. Let me get this. The waning moon. So that's when the moon is moving from full to dark. So from full moon to dark, that phase. And that's for decrease, which makes sense, right? A waning moon. My allergies are acting up first thing in the morning. Anyway, this peppermint tea is like my lifeline right now. So for decrease, weight loss spells, banishing spells, um, hexing, low key, high key. um, you want to remove something or someone out of your life. It's not necessarily to wish ill will. You just want to be done. You want to quit your job, but you want it to be successful. Or you want to go in a blaze of glory. Whatever the spell is that you want them to recognize what they lost. That sort of thing. You want them to feel that impact. Let's say you're dealing with that. This is a great time for if you were doing shadow work and you wanted to do a releasing, perfect time during that phase, that waning phase, to do that. Honestly, when you are moving, if you're moving or purchasing a new car and you're trying to sell a car or sell your house first, do the work that's a two-parter when you think about it with like buying a new house or buying a new car and you already own a home or the car, whatever the situation is. The first part, I would do the decrease. I would do the spell work to release the home that you're in, release the car that you're in, so that it's successful, right? And that's a two-parter. So then you want the other portion to be done at another, like to purchase a house or to purchase the car. You want that done in a different phase because you want, you know, um, to increase or to gain for it to be successful, but you want to release it. Let's say you have emotional ties. A lot of us have emotional ties to objects or things like cars, and especially a house because that's where you have done so many different things. If you're practicing witch, there's been energy in that house and it might be hard to say goodbye. So you could do a goodbye spell to your house as well, or a ritual work. I'm saying spells, but you could do a ritual as you leave that house. Um, Waning moon phase is a good time to do that sort of stuff. The new moon, which is perfect. So back to the car or the house thing, you could do the releasing work during the waning phase of, hey, I'm selling the car, and you're putting that energy out there. I want to remove the car from my life. I want to remove the house. I want money, but I want to remove these things. And then the new moon phase, which is what I'm about to get into, um, that's the moon at last sliver of crescent to dark. Yeah, I wanted to use like a fancy title because I wrote this down. I was like, yeah. So that's the new moon. That's used for magic, for cleansings. For me, new moon intentions, setting intentions. Um, Honestly, for the rest of the phase or for indefinite, but definitely, I like to approach my spell work and I'm doing it specifically during a new moon. Yes, it could be for all, oh, I want a life of peace. Okay, I want that not just in this next set of moon phases, but going forward. But also, if you're working on a project within a certain period of time, so from the new moon until the next new moon, you're hoping to accomplish this goal. So I would set that intention during the new moon. Like in a case of, so for me, if it was to buy a house or buy a new car, I want to put that intention out to do that then. Yes, I could also do that during the waxing um, or even during the full, but I want to set the intention. I want to put that energy out there first. Uh, so that's what the new moon. I like new moon work usually. Um, it's usually more, it has to deal with like my inner stuff, like the shadow work stuff. Or just the overall goal, the like peace in my life. It's not necessarily, I mean, yes, success for things, because that's my intention, but I notice a lot of my new moon intentions have to do with like bettering myself, the inside stuff, not necessarily tangible items on the outside sometimes, but those are usually the broader goals going forward. But usually I'm like, and allow me to be receptive to this opportunity, that sort of stuff. My new moon intention is to be receptive to the good things that I know are coming my way, that sort of stuff. To be in a space of gratitude. That's my intention because I know I will receive and I'm grateful, that sort of thing. Um, some people actually use this time for banishing as well, the new moon. Um, And like I said, for cleansing. So this is a good, new moon is a great time to do your smoke cleanse through the house if you want to do that, like those incense, the sage stick, the palo santo, whatever you're into. I'm into all those things. Matter of fact, I like to usually use like a citrus type incense, lemon, orange, or something like that. Like I think I had like a lemon verbena, and I have like an orange something, orange blossom. Those are wonderful cleansing incense sticks that I like to use around the house, and I like how the energy feels when I'm done. And sometimes lately I've been doing dragon's blood a lot too, just as a way to kind of just stabilize, especially in this space, because there's so much energy I'm emitting in this space. So between the electronic devices, the other work that I do, the work that I do for Leap Take It when I'm working with people and I'm talking and I'm bringing their energy in, and they can see in the room because I'm usually doing camera on camera through my coven work, my own personal work. So yeah, there's a lot of energy here. And on days I don't feel so great as well, on days I feel awesome, like all that energy is just swirling around here. So I like to kind of just stabilize the room, not just the room, sometimes the whole house, but more often I'm definitely trying to keep the balance in this room for sure. The new moon is a good time to be doing that type of thing. I talk about doing shower rituals a lot, where they're just quick rituals. Well, how long you stay in the shower, but this is a great time to intentionally kind of make that shower ritual a little bit more beefy. You're adding more layers to it. So you intend, this is witchcraft, guys. You intentionally do, you take showers all the time, but this time it's different. In the same way that we do, spiritual baths and things like that. Well, this shower spell, you're ridding yourself, you're cleansing yourself. So this is going to be a time, yeah, you want to get your hair wet. You're not going to get your wet your hair this time. Shampoo. So now each one of the products or things that you use, for your hair and your skin and so forth, you want to bless them, you want to consecrate them, because they're going to aid in removing all that is not needed. The trauma, the negativity, the negative self-talk, the whatever, taking on other people's opinions about you and applying it to yourself, society as a whole, hearing about this Roe v. Wade thing, and it's really upsetting to you, releasing some of the grief that we have to deal with in this life, because, loved ones have passed on and so forth. Being reminded of that, being whatever, heartbreak, all of that, and just releasing it. So you're very intentionally doing this type of work. A new moon, during the new moon, is a great time, wonderful time to do that work. Now, there's the dark moon. Let's get into that, the dark moon. So that's when the moon's no longer illuminated at all. You can use this time for doing divinations, meditations. You can do this to do a good time also. I want to say womb magic. I'll get into that in just a moment. But divination. So you can do divination anytime you want. But if you want to do something a little bit more elaborate, I said beefy earlier. The word elaborate was what I was looking for. If you want to do more elaborate types of divination during this time, maybe a very large spread, like the Celtic cross spread, something where it's a lot more cards on that table, and it's dynamic, it's complex, so it's all different aspects of your life. So you want to lay all those cards out. So during that dark moon phase, this is a great time to be doing this type of divination, and really kind of just working with the mysteries of the moon, because it's not illuminated, and it's kind of the idea that divination is going to give you a peek in, or even a peek back to what things have, what transpired and what is to come. A lot of times people get really caught up in the future aspect of divination, but it's funny, I use a lot of it to get better understandings of the forces at play in my current situation. Even when I'm doing work, it's what's to come, but also what's happening. like usually current tense. That's where I notice I tend to want to know more. In the beginning, I used to be very into the future. I mean, I still obviously check depending on what the situation is, but usually I'm more about, hey, let's look to see what's, what better understanding of the situation, motivations from other places, and what other wills, somebody else's will, is it going to get in the way, that sort of stuff. Meditation work, again, you can meditate anytime you want. However, you can tie your meditations during this time in, and again, make them a little bit more elaborate as well. Um, your focus can change during this phase than maybe the other moon phases, or maybe there's certain things that maybe there's something that you focus on. In this case, I would say maybe a candlelight. Be careful staring into fire and candlelight too long and mess with your eyes, just so you know. So don't do it too long, but it can be a way where it starts the initial journey and then you close your eyes. I like to do that, by the way. I stare into a flame, and then before it can, do too much damage, I close my eyes at that point and then I go into my meditative state. Um, and honestly, I go into the dark, the void, if you will, that I in my mind's eye, and that's when I usually can actually open myself up to working with other deities and ancestors. They come through when I do that. So there you go. Um, so I said womb magic. So I'm thinking more in terms of like rebirth. Creation, that sort of stuff. So this is a time to do those witchy crafts. You can do crafts anytime you want, but the more intentional ones, this is a good time to go into that and think creative, think creation, or go back to a project you were working on, and maybe put some new life into it, rebirth, put some life into it, that sort of stuff. This is a time for doing that as well during the dark moon phase. So, other people, I know the moon void, of course. I don't really ever do anything with this time, and I don't really recognize that time because it's only a specific amount of time. Yeah, I have my notes here. It can be between 1 to 4 hours. Um, Holds the influence of both signs in balance. Um, so things you don't really do are completed. Activities. I don't know. It's to me like activities. I have down here. Activities begin, may end, but not as expected or desired. Like this is a time for that. So I don't know. I don't like to focus on the negative very much. I'm very much into mental alchemy. So if I see that, like even with Mercury retrograde, I know I'm off topic for a second, but I realized, oh, well, it could mean that you have to be careful with communication. So to me, okay, I take the last part of that. Okay, so be careful with my communication, be mindful of my words, take longer to speak, like hold on and then let it out. Um, if I'm traveling, double check my itinerary, make my list. I'm a planner. Like I have 50 million planners. I love making lists. So this is a time for me to just use the crazy part of myself to its full advantage. And I do. So I see that as a time to go buy more stickers, get more planner supplies, and make elaborate lists with decorative pages to keep myself on track. By the way, I did do that just for reference. I did actually do that over the weekend. I was like, what are the things I want to accomplish this week? Because they say, oh, you don't want to start anything new during the Mercury retrograde. Why? Because, oh, it could have unintended consequences. Things could go this way or that way, the way you didn't intend it because of miscommunication, technology, and all this sort of stuff. And I was like, right, so if I make a list and I check it 50 million times and I make a sub list within that list, then I should be okay, right? Because isn't that the whole point, to dot your I's and cross your T's? So, yeah, that's me. But anyway, so that's pretty much it as far as the moon phases, the moon signs, and what you can do during those times, and how it can impact your work. Now, I'm gonna be honest with you. I know early on in my craft, I was very considerate about what time of day is it, what day of the week it is, and what moon phase are we in if I wanted to do a spell, if I was planning on some spell work. I'm still very much like that. Actually, I think I'm getting to the point where I'm actually much more intentional about that. Excuse me. I'm much more intentional about that. I um, I understand the importance of these. Now, some things can't wait, and I will tailor the words I speak and the spell, and even some of the things I use if I know that. Because if I'm in, I don't know, a time of increase and I want to decrease, I'm going to focus on what else I want to bring in as opposed to focusing on so much of what I don't want. So it's more of a replacement spell, which is still sort of an increased situation. Even though I am technically still releasing to make room for this thing, I want to get rid of this thing, that sort of thing. So sometimes it has to work like that. But and the opposite is true, by the way, during a time of the, if it's a waning moon and you need this money to come in, you need this thing to happen to increase, you can think more of a replacement. These feelings of lack, of poverty, of not having. The way I want to release that, and I want to bring in abundance, prosperity, and no worries and stability, financial stability, that sort of thing. But yeah, um, I have definitely have much more respect at this phase of my craft, at this part of my journey. For a while, I just was a little bit more willy nilly with everything, and it worked. But I can see the benefits of honing in if you can plan. And I will end with this: as you practice magic and you live a magical lifestyle and you're a practitioner, the more you do so, and the more experience you gain over time. Time, yes, but experience, because this is something you got to practice. Just you declaring your witch, and that was 5-7 years ago, and you haven't done very much in those 5-7 years other than occasionally you buy a book, occasionally you watch a YouTube video, but you're not really doing anything. I'm not saying that's a bad thing because life happens. I've had those gaps. Same. However, when you're actively practicing more often, during over time, that's where the real experience comes in. And for me, one of the benefits of doing that and actually practicing, is that you get enough experience where you notice during this particular moon phase, on this particular day, you did that spell and it was the sweet spot and it worked. It didn't just work, it worked in a way that was so successful and so awesome. Like, it surprised you how well the spell worked, and with really minimal effort. It was just done, boom, like that. And if you're paying attention after a while, and you should be, you notice, hey, I did this spell on this phase during this moon phase, and I put this, you put it together and you realize, oh, that was a time of increase, and that was a time of success, that was a time to do a prosperity spell, or what have you, or that was a time for me to release my feelings of, how I felt about leaving my job or leaving this person or whatever. Um, there you go. I did that releasing work. It all kind of came together in a way where you notice other spells didn't come together quite like that. So that sort of stuff. And you notice that. So yeah, then you consider, hey, maybe I need to do this type of work, or maybe there's something to it after all. So there you go. So yeah, let me know in the comments if you practice like this, or is it like daily correspondences? Mondays you do this, Sundays you do that type of thing, and also with consideration of the moon. Let me know in the comments. Again, I'm Mika. This is Leap Taken. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, share. Consider hitting the join button to join the Leap Taken membership. And if you have any services that you're interested in that I offer on how to live a magical lifestyle, please go ahead and visit leaptaken.com. It's in the description. And take a look, and go ahead and purchase some of my services if you're interested. If you have any questions, you can always let me know as well in the comments. Thanks again. Bye.